Imagine this. You're online, you see something you want, one click, and bam, you're done. Super fast, right? So convenient. But behind that simple click, there's this hidden battle going on, like a constant arms race between innovation and, well, deception. Payment fraud today, it's way more than just a stolen card number. It's this complex, constantly changing thing that affects pretty much everyone. So today, we're doing a deep dive. We're looking into payment security, fraud, how it's all shifting. We've gone through a ton of reports, analyses, surveys, you name it. Basically, we did the homework so you don't have to. Our mission, to give you the shortcut, help you get really informed on what's happening. You'll get not just what the threats are, but, how the industry is fighting back and critically what you can do to keep yourself safer.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how success in one security area can actually almost accidentally create new problems elsewhere. We'll dig into the foundational defenses, see where things stand right now, and then try to peek into the future a bit. What's next for fraud and what's next for, well, stopping it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The source material keeps mentioning a profound strategic transformation in payment security. Is that just like fancy talk, or is something really fundamental changing?
Oh, it's absolutely fundamental, no question. For years, the financial sector got really quite good at stopping those traditional physical attacks, someone using a fake card in a shop. But that success didn't make crime disappear. It just sort of pushed it, shoved it into new areas, mainly digital and often much more sophisticated. It really is that classic whack-a-mole game. You plug one hole and bam, another one opens up somewhere else. And right now we're seeing this huge surge in card not present, or CNP, data theft. Just look at 2024 figures, something like 269 million card records, mostly CNP data, were found floating around on the dark web, even the clear web. It's staggering.
Wow, 269 million. And it's not just static lists of numbers being sold, right? You mentioned active skimming.
Exactly. It's active theft too. Digital e-skimming, think groups like MasterCard, they actually tripled their operations in 2024. Nearly 11,000 unique websites affected. They use these nasty vulnerabilities, like one called Cosmic Sting. Basically, it injects malicious code right into the payment page you're using on an e-commerce site. It's like a digital pickpocket, literally grabbing your card details as you type them in. Very sneaky.
So, okay, the digital front is clearly where the main action is. Does that mean the old ways, the physical stuff, check fraud, things like that, are they basically safe now, or still a
No,
problem?
not at all safe. And that's a really crucial point people sometimes miss, those legacy methods. Still significant vulnerabilities. Take check fraud. You might think, checks, who uses those anymore? But the numbers are stark. In 2024, nearly 2 million stolen U.S. bank checks were posted online, and a survey found 63% of organizations, that's almost two-thirds, faced check fraud attempts just last year. Criminals go where the money is, even if it seems old-fashioned.
63%, that's huge.
It is. And then there are these newer, maybe sneakier forms of deception, like first-party misuse. Sometimes it's called friendly fraud. It's basically when a legitimate customer buys something, receives it, but then falsely claims it was defective or never arrived, just to get a refund.
Ah, the digital version of buyer's remorse, but fraudulent.
Pretty much, yeah. And it hits almost half of all merchants globally. It's a massive operational headache, and costly too. And then for businesses themselves, the big one is often business email compromise, or BEC, cited by 63% of organizations as a top threat. This isn't just simple phishing. Fraudsters get really sophisticated. They impersonate CEOs, sure, but often they impersonate trusted vendors or partners. They trick companies into making huge wire transfers to fraudulent accounts. Sometimes it's even more common than executive impersonation because it leverages existing business trust.
Okay, so the threats are coming from all angles, old and new. The reports we looked at, though, they talk about 3 foundational pillars for defense. Let's get into those, starting with EMV. The chip in the card. What was its real impact?
Right, EMV, Europay, MasterCard, Visa. It wasn't just adding a chip. It fundamentally changed card-present security. Before EMV, magnetic stripes had static data. Easy to copy, easy to counterfeit. EMV chips, though, they generate a unique one-time code, a cryptogram, for every single purchase. This made it, and the reports say nearly impossible, for fraudsters to take stolen chip data and make fake cards for use in stores. It basically killed a huge chunk of physical counterfeit fraud almost overnight.
And a big part of getting it adopted so quickly was something called the liability shift, wasn't it? It wasn't just optional for businesses.
Exactly right. That was the key lever. The major card brands basically said, okay, merchants, if you don't upgrade your terminals to accept EMV chip cards and a counterfeit fraud transaction happens with a chip card at your store, you are now liable for that loss, not us.
Ouch. That's a powerful incentive.
A very powerful incentive. It drove incredibly rapid adoption of EMV terminals worldwide. Businesses had a direct financial reason to upgrade.
So EMV, huge success for stopping fake cards in stores. But it feels like we keep coming back to this. Did its success inadvertently push fraud somewhere else, specifically online?
That's a completely fair assessment. It's the classic example of solving one problem and creating, or at least highlighting, another. EMV security is strictly for card-present situations. It offers zero protection for online shopping, mail order, phone order, any CMP transaction. Plus, for backward compatibility, the cards still have magnetic stripes. So fraudsters got clever. They'd intentionally damage the chip.
Oh, right, to force it to use the stripe.
Exactly, to force a fallback transaction using the less secure stripe. It's called chip read error fraud. Shows how persistent they are.
Okay, so EMV plugged one hole but left the massive online CMKey gap wide open. How do we tackle that? That brings us to pillar number 2, tokenization. How does that work?
Tokenization is, well, it's a fundamentally different approach. It redefines how we handle sensitive payment data entirely. Instead of sending your actual 16-digit card number around, tokenization replaces it with a unique, randomly generated, non-sensitive substitute, the token. Your real card data. That gets stored securely, way off-site, in something called the token vault. The beauty of it is, if a hacker steals a token, it's useless to them. It has no intrinsic value. You can't reverse engineer it back to the original card number. Unlike encrypted data, which can be unlocked with a key.
That sounds like it's not just about security then, but also helps businesses operationally.
Oh, absolutely. Huge operational benefits. Think about subscription services, recurring payments. Tokenization lets them process those transactions securely without ever storing your sensitive card details on their systems. That means a smoother experience for you and massively reduced risk and compliance headaches for them. And many systems use format-preserving tokens. They look like card numbers, same length, same structure, which makes integrating them into existing payment systems much, much easier for businesses. It's a win-win.
Okay, interesting. Pillar 3 is PCI DSS. Now, this one isn't a technology, right? It's more like a rule book.
Exactly. PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It's a mandatory, very comprehensive set of rules. Basically, any organization that stores, processes, or transmits credit card information must comply. It lays out a whole framework for managing security. 6 main goals, 12 core requirements. Things like installing firewalls, using strong encryption, restricting access to data, regularly monitoring networks. It's quite rigorous.
It sounds like a massive undertaking, especially for smaller businesses.
It absolutely can be.
So how do these 3 pillars, EMV for physical, tokenization for data protection, and PCI DSS as the rulebook, how do they actually work together in practice? You mentioned tokenization helps businesses.
Yes, that's the key synergy, especially between tokenization and PCI DSS. PCI compliance is complex and expensive, particularly the parts that deal with protecting stored cardholder data. But if a merchant uses tokenization effectively, they can immediately replace the sensitive card number with a non-sensitive token right at the point of interaction. This drastically reduces the scope of their network and systems that fall under the strictest PCI DSS requirements. They're no longer storing or transmitting the actual card number in many places. This descoping, as it's called, saves businesses enormous amounts of time, money, and complexity. So tokenization isn't just security. It's a powerful operational tool that makes achieving and maintaining PCI compliance much more manageable.
Got it. So even with these 3 strong pillars, the system isn't foolproof. Fraudsters are still finding ways in. What are some of the vulnerabilities that just persist?
Well, as we've been saying, those card-not-present channels remain the primary battleground. And beyond the friendly fraud we talked about, account takeover ATO is huge. That's where criminals use stolen login details, maybe from data breaches or use social engineering, phishing, that sort of thing.
To get into your actual accounts.
Precisely. Your bank account, your Amazon account, whatever. They get in, change shipping addresses, make purchases, transfer funds, often before you even realize you've been compromised. It's fast and damaging.
And you mentioned something called triangulation fraud. That sounded particularly sneaky.
It really is. It's quite elaborate.
Ugh.
So picture this. A fraudster sets up a fake but legitimate-looking online store, maybe offering popular goods at really low prices. A real customer, you, sees a great deal and buys something, pays with your real card details on the fake site. Now, the fraudster takes your order details, but then uses a different stolen credit card to buy that same item from a legitimate big retailer like Amazon or Best Buy.
Yeah.
And they have that legitimate retailer ship the item directly to you, the original customer.
Oh, I get the product I ordered.
You get the product. You think everything's fine. But the legitimate retailer who shipped the product, they eventually get a chargeback because the car used to pay them was stolen. The fraudster pockets your original payment, and the legitimate merchant takes a loss. It's incredibly hard to trace because the victim who lost money, the merchant, never interacted with the fraudster directly, only with the unsuspecting customer.
Wow. That's clever in a nasty way.
It is, and it highlights how complex fraud chains can be.
And these aren't just attacks aimed at consumers, right? What about vulnerabilities in the bigger business world, like supply chains?
Absolutely critical area. BEC, business email compromise, is still rampant. But supply chain attacks are maybe even more worrying because they exploit trust between organizations. Fraudsters realize attacking a big bank directly is tough. They have huge security teams, layers of defense. So instead, they target smaller, often less protected third-party vendors, contractors, suppliers, anyone who has legitimate access or connection to the larger target.
Like finding a side door that's unlocked.
Exactly. A perfect example happened in 2024. The RansomEquixX ransomware group didn't hit banks directly. They hit CEdge Technologies, a company providing banking systems, by going through one of its partners. The result? Service disruptions for around 300 smaller banks in India that relied on CEdge. It shows how interconnected everything is and how one weak link can have system-wide effects.
And are we seeing vulnerabilities pop up in brand new technologies too? Like, is innovation sometimes outpacing security?
That definitely seems to be a factor sometimes, especially with the rapid growth of fintech. Mobile payment apps, for instance. A study, I think it was in Africa, looked at a bunch of mobile payment apps and found some pretty basic security flaws. Things like storing sensitive data in plain text, using weak encryption algorithms, not having proper randomness. It suggests that the rush to innovate and get apps out to market, especially in fast-growing regions, might sometimes skip over some fundamental security best practices. Speed is great, but not at the cost of foundational security.
Okay, the threats are clearly getting faster, more sophisticated, exploiting every angle. So what's the industry doing about it? What are the next-gen defenses?
The big shift, undeniably, is towards artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML. The old rules-based system, if this, then flag that, they're just too static, too slow. AI offers a much more dynamic, proactive, even predictive approach. So you have supervised learning, where you train the AI on examples of known fraud, like this transaction pattern looks like past fraud, flag it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
useful for known threats.
Right, learning from the past.
Exactly. But the real power, I think, lies in unsupervised learning. This is where the AI looks for anomalies, for patterns that deviate from normal behavior, even if it's never seen that specific type of fraud before.
Yeah.
It can spot brand new attack methods as they emerge, potentially before human analysts even know what to look for. AI is also being used, for example, to trace cryptocurrency movements on the blockchain, identify dodgy transfers, and uncover entire fraudulent networks much faster than humans could.
And what about just proving who you are? Passwords feel so broken these days.
They really do. Biometrics is the big leap forward there. Using something unique to you, your fingerprint, your face, even the rhythm of how you type, is inherently more secure than something you know, like a password, which can be stolen or guessed. It's also often more convenient. Think about unlocking your phone with your face. An exciting development is the EMV biometric card. It basically combines the security of the EMV chip with a fingerprint sensor right on the card itself.
So you touch the card to pay, and it verifies your fingerprint right there. No PI needed.
Exactly. One-touch payment with identity verification built in. And importantly, for privacy, it doesn't store an image of your fingerprint. That would be a huge risk if the card was compromised. Instead, it stores a secure, encrypted mathematical representation, like a template or matrix derived from your fingerprint. It can verify a match, but it can't be reverse engineered to recreate your actual fingerprint image.
That's clever. But here's the worrying part. The flip side. Are the fraudsters also using AI in these advanced tools? Is it a true arms race?
It absolutely is. A genuine escalating arms race. We're seeing AI-generated forgeries, for instance, counterfeit checks, documents that look incredibly real, mimicking security features, handwriting, things that fool traditional checks. AI tools are also being used to create synthetic identities on a massive scale.
Synthetic identities.
These fake people.
Essentially, yes. They combine real stolen information fragments, maybe a real social security number, with a fake name and address to create entirely new fictional identities that look legitimate enough to pass initial checks. These synthetic identities are then used to open fraudulent bank accounts, apply for loans, credit cards. It's a huge problem because they're so hard to detect initially. They don't belong to a real person who will report the fraud.
Wow. And what else is on the horizon? Any other big concerns? Well, the push for faster payments. Real-time P2P apps, instant bank transfers, while great for convenience, inherently means less time for fraud detection systems to analyze and potentially stop a transaction. Speed can be a vulnerability. And looking even further out, the looming threat of quantum computing is serious. Quantum computers, when powerful enough, could theoretically break much of the encryption we rely on today to protect financial data. This means we need to start transitioning to quantum-safe or post-quantum cryptography now, even though practical, large-scale quantum computers are still some way off. We need to future-proof our security.
Okay, this is a lot to take in. The threats are complex, the defenses are evolving, the fraudsters are adapting. So what does it all mean for, us? For listeners, whether you're running a bank, a shop, or just trying to buy things online safely, what are the key takeaways?
Okay, let's break it down. For financial institutions, payment processors, the big push is towards what some call fusion intelligence, breaking down silos between cybersecurity teams and fraud prevention teams. They need to work together, share intel proactively. They also need to seriously enhance their digital vetting processes, checking merchants who want to accept payments, verifying users, setting up digital wallets, and absolutely leverage AI, especially unsupervised ML for that real-time, predictive detection of new threats.
And for merchants, small businesses, big retailers.
The key message is, don't bet on just one thing. You need layers. Definitely use EMV terminals for face-to-face sales, but combine that with a robust tokenization solution that protects you against both physical and digital data theft risks. Plus, as we said, it helps massively with PCI DSS. Beyond that, invest in specific defenses for cart-not-present fraud. Things like EMV 3D Secure, that extra verification step online, maybe behavioral analytics, IP address tracking, device identification, and critically, don't forget the human element. Train your employees, educate your customers, especially about social engineering, phishing, those BEC scams. People are often the first line of defense or the weakest link.
Right. And finally, for all of us, just as individuals, consumers, what should we be doing?
It really comes down to two things: strong authentication and vigilance. First, use strong authentication whenever you can. If a site or app offers multi-factor authentication MFA, like getting a code texted to your phone, turn it on. For everything financial, email, major shopping sites, it's probably the single best thing you can do to protect your accounts. Second, practice vigilance. Be skeptical. If you get an unexpected email, text, call, asking for personal info, passwords, card details, pause, think. Is this legitimate? Be wary of urgent requests or amazing deals that seem too good to be true. Know the common scams. Your awareness is a really powerful tool.
So wrapping this up, it's clear this payment security landscape is incredibly dynamic. It really is this constant arms race. There's no single silver bullet, is there?
No, not at all. Success in one area, like EMV stopping counterfeit cards, just pushes the problem elsewhere, like online. It forces innovation on both sides.
The way forward seems to be this layered approach, building on foundations like EMV, tokenization, PCI DSS, but constantly adding new layers like AI, machine learning, biometrics.
Exactly. Layered, proactive, and constantly evolving. And it requires everyone to be involved, the sort of collective vigilance across the whole system. Banks, merchants, tech providers, consumers, everyone has a role.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, our listeners, to chew on. Given this constant whack-a-mole reality where criminals always find the path of least resistance, what does it actually mean to solve fraud in this digital age? Is achieving zero fraud even possible? Or is the goal more about continuously managing its evolution, staying one step ahead, and adapting faster than the threats themselves? Something to think about.